This is Zettelcast, brought to you by readers, writers, thinkers, and teachers from LiLLiPub, along with our partners in thought, our Zettelkastens. In this show, we share discoveries that our Zettelkastens have shown us.
There you go.
And compare notes on how we're using this marvelous invention in our creative work. Thank you for joining us.
All right, Book.
Let's do it again.
All right.
Episode 63, Roads into the Zettelkasten Mind.
Welcome to episode 63 of the Zettelcast. I'm Kathleen Spracklin, and I'll be your host today. Today we are exploring the topic Roads into the Zettelkasten Mind, and we're asking the question of how do we go about searching for things that we believe we have stored in our Zettelkasten. And so I've asked each of us to bring a topic today of a search that they've done recently or one that typifies how they search. It could either be an exceptional, oh, this was weird, or a typical. So you really have a broad range there. And we're going to share our cards and how we went about finding them. And I think we have a surprise from one of our participants, but I won't spoil that surprise. Who would like to go first?
Well, I can go. I didn't find a card so much as I had a card and I found where it would go. That's what I understood the assignment to be.
Yeah.
So that's
Yes.
what okay, good. So this card that I have is one that I just made based on, I'm reading the book Lateral Thinking by Edward de Bono. Thank you, Julianne. And he's getting into the techniques for lateral thinking, and he's talking about, again, the difference between vertical and lateral thinking. And the quote that I wrote down is, being right, which is what he talks about with vertical thinking. You got to be right at every step. It's logical. Being right means being right all the time. Being effective means being right only at the end. So, you can make a lot of wrong moves, but if they get you to the right answer in the end, or an effective answer, then that's what matters. And you can usually, once you've got your effective answer, you can backtrack to the logical correct step to get there from your starting point. So I thought that was a really interesting insight, but I also was concerned about the downside. What if you never find a right answer? At what point do you stop? Because, if you don't decide ahead of time, it's really easy to just, one more try, like the gambler sort of mindset. The next one will be it. And if maybe you never find the right answer, maybe you never find an effective approach on that particular path. So I'm not sure what the answer is, but I think it's probably having some clarity ahead of time of how many resources you are going to give in terms of time and energy, et cetera, towards this particular path before it's got to pay off in some way. So that was the card that I had made. And so I went through my normal process, and I think we'll find that we all have pretty similar processes because we borrow each other's ideas and try them out. And but so the very first thing to do was to make a tagline. Success justifies the process is what I chose. And then I went through my index, seeing if I could find anything for any of those keywords. And I found one thing that was interesting tangentially, but not going to be apparent probably. Maintenance sustains success, but what sustains maintenance was the tagline for that card. And I'm like, well, okay, but that's about, you found a right process and how do you keep it going? So related, but not really a good parent. And that was all that I found for just looking at those three keywords in my index. So I went to the next possibility was looking for keywords that were in that quote, like right and effective. And so I looked at those, and again, they didn't really find too much. I think I looked up solution and I found elegant solutions front load the work, which is also related. Do all the work ahead of time and then to find an elegant solution. But I wasn't quite happy yet, so kept moving. Um, so then I chose to use a technique from Julianne again, which is the Z log, which is just a chronological listing of every tagline that you index. And so I've been keeping it for almost a year now. I've got
Wow.
12, yeah, it was almost a year ago that I decided to try this out. So I've got 12 different cards full of different taglines. So I just read through them and like to see if any of them might spark something. And I did find one. I found one that said persistence, not perfection, which again, unfortunately, I went to that card and it only had a tagline. I didn't have anything else. It was something that I had made to be a container for some other cards. Um, but that I've got this. This is a Kathleen thing. A list of other related cards that I don't. What do you call it? I forget what you call it. Um,
A
the
directory
list,
card.
a
Directory
directory
card.
card. Yes, of related cards that are not parents, but they're related. Um, so I even when I was going through the Z log, I went through my dream index because
Ah,
I keep that as a separate index, but they're all listed on these Z cards. So wasn't really anything that fit there, but it was fun to consider how they might. And I'm gonna have to take a moment to pull the card that actually became the parent because I failed to do that part. Uh, Here it is. Oh, yes. So I did actually find this one in my first search. And so I had considered it, and it ended up being the parent. Lull's relations are part of the Zettelkasten process. And that this card is all about how you can use the Lullian concepts of concordance, difference, and contrariety to work with your Zettelkasten. And I see those same processes at work when you are searching for novel answers. You can use concordance to, things that are like this. You can use difference, things that are different from this, things that are opposed to this. These are all ways that you can use to generate new ideas that you might not have otherwise thought of. So that one ended up being the parent.
ah, excellent. Excellent. And who is next?
Well, I can go. My my Zettelkasten has um kind of a before Roanoke and after Roanoke quality to it. So before Roanoke, I was reading widely, and I also began with a hyper detailed index numbering scheme,
Ah,
which after hundreds of cards of it, I grew to despise because it's just so many numbers, so many numbers. And so so there's that part. There's the before and the after in terms of what kind of numbers do I want to use now, which are essentially based on Kathleen's here's try it if you want it index numbering scheme, which is, much simpler. But what I had done, and I didn't, taking the advice from Kathleen, much repeated, don't renumber your cards. I haven't renumbered my cards. But what I did, I will get to my point. The pain of renumbering the cards, I took on in a little bit, not in the Zettelkasten, but in the arrangement of all of these little things that represent my reading list. Because the top level categories that the books fall into before I've read them, right? That doesn't mean that all the cards that I make from reading a book are going to go under there, but it's like, well, where would I start? Those are based on, well, they were based on my original scheme, and now they're based on Kathleen's scheme. So I did a remapping of those in order to rearrange them so that I would feel the new scheme. So I did all of that. But since having done all of that, I would say 100% of the cards that I have created since then, which was about a year ago, have been Roanoke cards. Roanoke, 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 Roanoke. So they're all going into the 5 dot something, which is my project 5 for Roanoke. Um, and it just so happens that I have gotten back into reading other things and taking cards from them. And I'll just say one more thing. The things that I am reading, having gone as far as I did with Roanoke and really filling out a lot of Roanoke, these things that I'm reading are absolutely related to Roanoke, but the cards from the sources don't belong there. They belong in the main Zettelkasten, and the main Zettelkasten is in this numbered this way, numbered that way thing. So, so here's the card that I took. It's from a book by Daniel Ingram called Mastering the Core Teachings of the Buddha. And it is a kind of an encyclopedic style treatment, as much as you can do in a single book, of the Buddha's teachings as they have come forth into modern days. And so the Buddha's teachings were 2,500 years ago. And like anything, they went to different cultures and they got changed and whatever. And here we are in modern Western society. We're getting exposed to Buddhism, and we're getting exposed to a lot of different Buddhisms, as happens, right? All right. So, but there are two aspects that I was taking this card on. So here's the tagline, and then I'll explain what it means. Brahmaviharas, orient, magick, beneficially. So part of the tradition of Buddhism is that there are magical skills that someone with it doesn't actually require you to have become enlightened in the way that the Buddha did, but they're kind of neighborhood phenomenon. And there's a lot of power in them, and the power could be used for all sorts of reasons. Selfish reasons, good reasons. Deluded reasons, wise reasons. So the Brahmaviharas are absolutely core teachings of the Buddha, and they are it's 4 things that are just, it's like the 10 Commandments, but there are only 4. And they are just ways to orient yourself to do good in the world. And the English translations of them are loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity.
Oh.
And if these are your inner foundation, then your magic has a chance of being beneficial. So I care about magic because we're writing a story about a world where magic might actually happen. All right, so where does this go? Brahmaviharas orient magic beneficially. I literally had nothing where those taglines were gonna, I didn't have benefit, I didn't have magic except some magic in Roanoke, and I didn't want to put it there. Brahmaviharas didn't have none of it. None of it. So I went to the topic index, and the topic pointed me to Buddhist theology, which was literally just a category. And it was the old category number because it's my first card under Buddhist theology. So I found what its address would be in the old system, but I think that there are going to be a lot of friends come along here now, and I don't want to populate that old address anymore. So I have been thinking about what to do. And what I've started to do, when I redid my index, so that my index is either in this book, which has my Z log, and all my entries that are not yet 3 of that term. They're all just on pages. And and Kathleen. So this is my version of what Victoria does, but I don't use the tab as the place to write the thing. I've got sheets of lined paper. That solves that problem. So anyway, there's this, and then when I use a term 3 times or more, I've got it in this dude.
Oh.
Which is so this workflow is working gangbusters for me. I love it. So anyway, so what I'm doing to try to help me figure out, I need to remember, well, when somebody sends me to 10902 as the top level category, where do I go in the new system? And so I've got kind of forwarding addresses. Not for everything, but for a few things. It's just got the old top level address and the new top level address so that if I go into this area, I know, oh, it's got a friend, a distant friend. Look there. So that's kind of the little problem that I'm solving in it. It's a totally fresh problem because I've started reading a lot of stuff that has a place in the Roanoke world, but is not the Roanoke world. And so that's what I did. So anyway, you guys are going to have fun at indexing Brahmaviharas orient magic beneficially.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm going on and on and on, but one thing I wanted to say. So when I moved from one indexing system to another, I don't know why I did this, but I thought it might be useful at one point. Oh, I know why I did it. Um, I actually created an Excel file of, at the time that I moved this index, the entire index of taglines and their addresses. So I have those. I haven't kept that up. The Z log would be the one that I would look to keep that up. The reason that I did that is this is the sort of stupid thing that I love to do. I wanted to create, and I haven't done it yet, my own custom cover for this built out of a word cloud of the words I actually use. But I haven't done it yet. But that's why I did it, so that I would be able to create that word cloud using a tool.
Yeah. Oh,
If I do that, I will share it at some point.
okay. Oh, very good. Thank you, Julianne. That was very stimulating. And on that note, is where we speak of covers. Black Friday came around, and so I have some 5 mil um, uh, laminating material heading my way.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So it's down to our surprise. Um, all right, Deb, enlighten us.
Uh, yeah,
What's
because
new?
I'm say again,
I
what?
said, what's new?
Um, yeah, because the only way to say it is to say I don't have an index, you know. And that's like, how can you have a Zettelkasten with no index? You know, that's impossible. Because the index is basically the map, you know, the map that you use to follow your various yellow brick roads, you know? And so when I saw the assignment, I went, oh my Lord, you know, what am I going to do with this? And then as I was moving around, I saw this trifold board. Like you used to have the science projects, remember? This guy, his name is Willie or Winky. I don't remember right now exactly, but he's in Scott's group. And he had a picture of a black trifold science project-y looking thing where he had stuck index cards and strips of paper and this, that, and the other. And it was all about what he was writing, you know? And I looked at that and I thought, boom, that's it. That's it. Here I can use these trifolds to capture my gadfly mind, you know? One trifold per project. Good. So when I'm in that project, I'm in that like cocoon-like space and I deal with that project. And each one of the panels has a reason for being. So it's not just all over the place. So, okay, that sounds good, Deb. Keep going. Okay. So then I said, okay, now I've got this trifold. What do I do with it? You fold it, put a little thing like the Japanese or is it Japanese? They have this thing where you,
yeah,
right. Okay. And they have it on manila envelopes actually too. Right. So that keeps the wings closed. Right. But it also makes a little spine. And so the spine becomes a place where I put what? Labels to tell me which project is there, which project has been handled by this particular trifold. And I said, oh, well, isn't that nice? All right. All right. So now I got all these trifolds and I ordered, I only ordered 4, didn't go crazy, just 4, you know, just to get myself started and oriented. And along with the labels and I used, Amazon now has a kind of a chat GPT that you can ask questions of regarding your potential purchase. You know, so that it's like it's like having a clerk. It's like walking into the store, right? And you say, you know, I'm looking for XYZ, and the reason I want XYZ is because of ABC, but it could be QRT, but I don't know. You know what? You know, help me find this thing, and lo and behold, it does. It's just precisely like talking to a clerk who knows the inventory, you know? So that's how I found how to do my labels. The best kind of trifold to buy to get. So I got the foam base versus the corrugated deal. Anyway, all of this to say the thing that inspired all of this effort is the idea of solving the problem of senior isolationism. And senior isolationism, in my mind, is you have women over 60 who are living alone, and they're just there. And I'm saying that they don't have to be just there. They have lived lives. And they have stories to tell. And these stories are of interest to the population because these women made it from not knowing what they were doing like everybody else, right? to the age where they became how they became, who they became through a certain trajectory, and that trajectory has stories, and they should be shared and preserved for the upcoming generations, for people, because there are lessons there. There are all kinds of pieces of wisdom that shouldn't be allowed to be lost. So that's the thing, that after all this time, because I started this Zettelkasten search in 2020. This is 5 years, and I still don't have an index. It's crazy. It's crazy. But now I have something that's bigger than the work. It's big enough to make the work seem not a problem, because it's on the way to the goal. So my whole thing is gray hair matters. So gray hair matters, and we talk, and it has, nuances. There are matters that gray-haired people are concerned with. There's the other side of it that says people with gray hair matter. So it's all about sharing your lived life and with other people, such that you find that even through a monitor, a screen, warmth comes. There's a way to allow the isolationism to melt, to just go away. And it's done through this medium, through the community, through these little tubes that we have on our desks, that they can transport you out of isolationism into community, where you can laugh and sing songs and make jokes and hear what other people are thinking and say, oh yeah, I was thinking about that too, and blah, 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 blah. And so you build and build and build and build, so after all this time, an index is on the way. The workflow for me will be the Remarkable, the tablet. It'll start with the Remarkable. The Remarkable will be the place where I do the free writes. Okay. So from the Remarkable will go the Obsidian. Now, the reason I have Obsidian, which is not analog, is to make sure that this gadfly mind and all the things places that it goes, these things are captured. Okay, and that's what Obsidian does. And then it goes to the boards, and then it goes to the Zettelkasten formally, and then it goes to oh my, forgot the place. Well, anyway, it goes to another place, and they all talk to one another. It goes around and around and around, and you can, from wherever you are in it, you can get to the other place. So everything is cross-referenced, so nothing gets lost. Oh, the one that I forgot was the folders. These plastic folders that I have that are there, about 40 of them right now, that are there for my printouts. So that I can, and the rule is everything must be indexed, numbered. Everything, every sheet of paper, everything. And then logged in a master index. So I got a workflow. I got a workflow. So I don't know if that really qualifies as surprise, but I'm stoked and I'm happy that it's happening. Okay, so
you first.
Well, the question that I would have tried to find the answer to had my system been the way I just described it, was what are the forces, the people, the things that say what I think can be done cannot.
Oh.
Who says that what says what scholarship says that what I think can be done the way I've described it cannot be? And why do they say this?
Hmm.
Based on what? You know, um, that would be the question I would be searching the answer to. Um, and I will. I will. So
I,
that's
in any case, you'll beat them, whatever the naysayers say. Psh, you'll whisk them to the side because you are on target for your goal, and I think it's so admirable. And it's actually at the root of why I took the turn that I did because I could foresee myself in retirement, just getting into a very tiny world, and I didn't want that to happen. So and then you're reaching out to people who are truly isolated. And that is a much deeper need and really, really needs to be spoken to. And I can speak that just from the limited experience I've had of that. I know how important that is, because for people that surrounds them, that's their whole day. And that's a huge gift that you can give them.
yeah. I have to do this.
Yeah, yes, you
So
do. And speaking of what an index is all about, I've often talked about how you have your author cards point to your directory cards point to the main cards, the main cards point to the index points back to the main cards, everything points to something. And that's exactly what you've outlined, a different system that does that very thing.
oh yeah,
So
yeah.
it fits perfectly with the whole goals and meaning of a Zettelkasten. So to me, that's why it's a beautiful surprise. And I love your concept of the trifold boards because I love getting into my own little world. My desk is a corner desk where I work and I've got things up on the wall. And for me, it functions like a trifold board. But how amazing to be able to take project one, you open it out, now you're in that world. Close it up, slip it behind a bookcase or someplace it can go anywhere. Things are so flat. Get out another project and you're in that world. I love it. I love it. I think it's a fabulous idea. So thank you for sharing the fresh ideas because I think that's one of the things that I really associate with you, Deb, is when the ideas are truly fresh, look for Deb.
There's so many things I want to say to um, you know, applaud and everything what you've just said. But just one thing I want to choose. I've talked certainly on LiLLiPub and maybe here. I've used this phrase, the pull model.
The cool.
The pull model.
Mm-hmm.
So the pull model is, I mean, to me, almost everything is a metaphor. And the pull model, there is a concrete thing called the pull model. And to me, it's a metaphor. And the metaphor applies, the concrete thing and the metaphor apply to what you just described, I feel, Deb. So what the pull model is, instead of being assigned work to do, there is a list of all the things that need doing. And the worker goes and it's prioritized. And the worker who is ready to take something new, they just finished something, they go to that big board, it's Kanban board usually, and they find, okay, there's the next thing to do. I choose that, here I go. And so the work to be done pulls the effort. And compare that to being assigned work to do with a deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This keeps the pull model keeps the overall thing in the minds of all the people working on it or all the yous working on it. And it's a whole different feel, isn't it, Deb?
Sure.
It's ignition. And if you don't have it, you're motivated by have tos and shoulds, and they just are, they're a slog.
Yeah, not motivating enough, that's for sure.
No, no, it's full of, shame and regret and all sorts of things that don't help.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
here you got clarity.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's absolutely amazing. And talking about Mel's what was that? Success justifies the process. Um, because I've been, that's a good word, slogging for 5 years. 5 years trying to get it together with this Zettelkasten business, right? So, there's this thing that comes to mind, cart before the horse or horse before the cart. And I'm thinking, well, okay, I must have a cart that has a motor in it or something, because this is how it's working for me. The cart, I have to know the why. Why am I? That was the book that you introduced, Kathleen, sometime back. You knowing your why,
Mhm.
and I couldn't come up with a why. What was the? I mean, all these things, but really, why? Why? So that's um that's my contribution for the day.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, mine is going to seem horribly prosaic, but I need to at least introduce my topic, so I will go ahead and take my boring turn. Probably wear that after that explosion, Deb. Thank you.
Oh,
The area that I was working in that sent me going into my Zettelkasten, I'm working on creating a symbolic language or creating elements of vocabulary that will be a member of a larger symbolic language. And that I'm working on making symbols that are composed of other symbols, the majority of which were already created by you, Mel. Thank you. So I'm working on adding some more vocabulary to essentially, although we didn't call it a language at the time, it seems to be developing into one, Mel, that you've made some fabulous strides lately towards. And for those of you who are not currently subscribers to Mel's newsletter, I strongly suggest that you do so. He has a magnificent series on Ramon Lull. And oh my gosh, these are just some of the wonderful symbols that he's come up with that really help grasp the concepts and use the concepts, employ the concepts both for thinking and for note taking. Bravo. Um,
mhm.
I think Deb has some thoughts on that as well, but so my little prosaic entry here is the tagline. I'm making symbols that fit the character traits. And the character traits are, for fiction writers, they are a blend of, well, you could talk about virtue on one hand and vice on the other hand. It's the whole line because you got good bad guys and heroes and villains, and then you got flawed heroes and rescuable bad guys. So you got people with all different placement on this continuum. So I just call it character traits. But in particular, this tagline says that symbology speaks the language I've got of virtue, but it's the language of those character traits. So I want the symbol to say something. So here's that card, and I say of it, the symbol ought to speak to us of the thing they represent. That's a given. But also, two symbols should differ in the same way that the two things they symbolize differ. So that the symbols themselves side by side will help you say, oh, that's how they're the same, that's how they're different. So I say symbols should clarify, not just represent.
Mhm.
And that's my card. And so I had some notes on some symbols to get me started on the back side of one of the cards. So then I had to look up keywords, symbology, language, virtue, and I also threw in character traits because character traits and virtues were the same. And like Mel, I ended up with a directory card that was mostly just filled with kind of sort of references, things that kind of sort of fit. But I want to keep them because they're all, when you get those cards that don't quite fit, oh, your mind just jumps to fill in the gaps. And it's very sparkly to the brain. The brain loves that kind of problem. Ooh, but if it did fit, how would it fit? Ooh. And if it doesn't fit, why doesn't it fit? And it's just like, it's like candy for the brain. So I kept them all, and then I picked one, and that was that minds communicate symbol to word, then word to symbol. And that was a card by a video from David Tuggy, who was talking about languages. In particular, he was talking about he works in an area in Mexico where Nahuatl is still a spoken language, and he's one of the world's foremost experts on that. And he's equally conversant in English and Spanish. He's a native speaker of both, having grown up of American parents in South America. So he's truly a native speaker of Spanish and English, and a pretty darn good speaker of Nahuatl. So he was talking in particular about how an American will say house and picture a nice, 3-and-2 ranch on a city block and say the word house. And then the other speaker who's learning English will say house. Yes, that's casa. And then they'll picture where they grew up. So there'll be different houses because they grew up in different places and probably different times as well, but they're close enough that the translation of house to casa communicates, oh, the place where people live. And so was talking about how you go from words to symbols, and then the word gets transmitted, goes back to a symbol. With a symbolic language, our goal in creating that, and we're kind of all of us involved in that for Roanoke, where the idea is that we want the symbols themselves to communicate, in part because Roanoke has this link, and the link does not really communicate in words. That we can translate them into words when we write them. We have to when we tell our story. That's the only way we can tell it until we get our language really going. But in a way, it's the words that might float along with it, but it's as much the symbol as it is the words. That's the whole nature of the link. Feelings and emotions, all kinds of things get transmitted along with, the actual words. So I thought that was a pretty good spot for it, and so that was how it got numbered. Okay, so that completes.
I was going to say, I'm just looking at the clock, and you may have been too. I think
Ooh, we're almost done.
I think that the next part of this would be a great thing for us to do next time.
Okay, I think that's
So,
a great idea
yeah.
as well, except that I won't be here next time.
Oh, well, next time.
Next time.
The
Yeah,
next time you're here.
yeah.
And it gives us
Okay,
time to, try and fail to find a
yeah,
good home for all these cards and
yeah.
for Victoria to be part of it too.
Oh, this is true. So maybe we can post over in the Zettelcast in LiLLiPub our taglines.
Yeah.
And then that also gives us an opportunity to truly place our cards. You can maybe even take an image of your card, and then we can actually place the cards into our Zettelkastens um, for a next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we sign off, how do people subscribe to Mel's newsletter?
Oh, Mel, why
Mel.
don't you tell us?
If you go to meljeffcoat.com, then you'll find a link to my book right now, which is Turn the Page. It's about reading old books in order to transform your mind. Oh, Kathleen's going to pull up a copy. How wonderful. Um, So right now, going through the sale page to that book will get you to the newsletter subscription page as well. Um, I, when I get a chance, I will go in and make a direct link as well, just for people who are like, I don't care about the book. I want to know about this little stuff. But either way, you can definitely get there through the book, and the book is pretty cheap. Pretty cheap. I don't remember the exact price, but it's under $10, including shipping. So that is an option. So,
And well worthwhile.
Yeah.
I don't hold this up idly. Okay, and then beyond that, if you join Mel's newsletter, one of the perks you get is, and included in that is your membership in LiLLiPub. And if not, you can come over to lillipub.org and join as a just a subscribing member to LiLLiPub. That's $8 a month, but you wouldn't be going wrong by getting Mel's newsletter. It's very powerful. So, and then we'll see you over in LiLLiPub in either case.
Yes.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.